Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know, my name is Katie. I'm an Olympic weightlifter turned powerlifter, and I wanted to take you along for the journey of my powerlifting. Before I jump into powerlifting, I wanted to kind of clarify what the difference is between Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting. Both of them are barbell sports. However, with weightlifting, we only train for the snatch and the clean and jerk, whereas with powerlifting, we're training for a squat, a bench press, and a deadlift. I keep getting this question, so I will answer it. Why did I switch to powerlifting? I have been a weightlifter for years. I do love the sport. I do love competing in it. However, I came home from my last meet in Las Vegas. I competed at the American Open Series, and I didn't really have a great experience competing at that meet. I came home and took a couple weeks off. I knew I just wanted a couple weeks to kind of get my head right, get, into a good space mentally, and also physically just kind of take a couple weeks to really just kind of be healthy and not be beating up my body. During those couple weeks, I kind of was reflecting a lot and wanted to just do something else and do something that I didn't really do a lot of. And so I was touching a barbell in a different way. I was doing a lot of deadlifting, and then I kind of was like, I'm gonna bench press today. So I started doing some of those different movements, and I think in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that eventually I was going to try to see how far I could take it. Ultimately, it came down to powerlifting for me was a way to have a mental break, have a physical break from weightlifting, and also it was a way to get stronger in the most essential, fundamental way. When training for weightlifting, I primarily have spent my time just training the two main lifts. We do some amount of accessory work, however, not a ton of it is put in, especially when you compare it to powerlifting. I think that was something that I was warned about before I kind of started, was that there is a lot of accessory work in powerlifting involved, more so even than you doing the actual lifts. However, doing powerlifting, I'm now understanding that most of it really is just building up the weak areas and building up your main lifts through accessory work. The training style is also super different. For me, I've seen a lot of success with high volume and weightlifting, and because of the movements themselves, you can do that. Similar in both, I think, when you're looking at the programming, but with powerlifting, you're going through phases like I am right now, where I'm really building up my muscles and doing a lot of hypertrophy. And then eventually you kind of switch over to kind of doing fewer reps and fewer sets, where you're kind of really focused on nailing those big lifts. When I first started powerlifting, I think I kind of thought that it was going to be way easier than it was. I expected that things were going to come easy to me. I expected that I was going to get a grasp on it really quickly, especially because every time I've ever tried out a sport, or every time I've tried to lift something, I've managed to do it. And so I had this assumption that it's okay, I'll be able to do it. I quickly learned that was not the case, and I quickly learned that powerlifting, those three movements are so incredibly different than the two movements that I had been doing. Even when you think of the accessory work that you put in weightlifting. So in weightlifting, I'm doing pulls, I'm doing clean deadlifts, I'm doing snatch grip deadlifts. But those are such different movements because you're imitating the snatch, you're imitating a clean, and those are all so different from an actual deadlift that you would do on a powerlifting platform. Even the squat, it's so much different in a powerlifting sense than it is in a weightlifting training sense. When I transitioned into powerlifting, I really thought that I had committed to the idea of it, but I think that I struggled, especially in the beginning, with really being able to let go of weightlifting. For me, it was like this overwhelming sense of guilt, and it was hard for me to let go of years of training and competition and being involved in the sport of weightlifting, because I do love weightlifting. I love being involved with USA weightlifting. I do love competing in weightlifting. I love training that style. But I also knew that mentally and physically, I couldn't do it right now, and I needed to step away and take a little time away and make that time really productive for myself. So going into powerlifting, I was ready to do it, but I also was holding on to weightlifting a little bit. And so for the first couple weeks that I was doing this, I was struggling to figure out how to do these movements I was getting frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to do them. I was frustrated because I thought it was going to be easier for me. And I was also hard because I was like, well, this isn't coming easy to me. I'm going to get back to weightlifting. And it was kind of like me fighting with the idea of, you know, maybe I'm giving up something, or maybe I'm walking away from something, or maybe I'm turning my back on something with weightlifting. And then I think I really had to sit down with myself and say, listen, like, nothing is going to be accomplished. You're not getting anything out of this if you're just going to have like a bad attitude every day. You know, and really understanding and coming to a point where I had to be really humble about it and say, listen, like, we all start where we start, and what matters is kind of how we carry ourselves throughout the rest of that, and how we finish that, and how we come out the other side better than when we started. And I also had to understand and realize that by me participating in powerlifting and training in powerlifting and having the opportunity to do this and having the resources to do this doesn't take away anything from my past weightlifting career. It doesn't take away anything from my future weightlifting career, and I'm not losing out on anything by choosing to chase after something else right now and have a couple of new goals. All that really can happen is that I'll get stronger in different ways, and I'll be able to apply that back to weightlifting when I do come back to weightlifting. So once I finally got over like that initial mental block of like really not fully committing and not really wanting to, I really kind of was just like, all right, let's go. I'm here, I'm ready, I'm committed. I want to do this. I want to get after this. And I really want to just like kill these goals that I've set for myself. So now I'm in a really good space mentally, emotionally. I'm ready. I'm excited about it. Training's, I think at first it was really boring because again, it was just me learning the movements and trying to figure out how to move my body and how to do things right. But after the first couple weeks, I finally was able to see just the changes in like my movement patterns and the changes in how things felt and how much easier and like smoother my lifts were feeling. And I think that's when it finally started to click. I was excited and I was looking forward to like continuing training. I think training's going really well now. So I am about probably 9 weeks in. The first 6 weeks of my training were specifically hypertrophy, and almost like a deload from weightlifting, and then kind of carrying into a little bit of higher percentages, but still staying at fairly high rep ranges, and high sets as well. It's been fun. I think that my body, knock on wood, is holding up fairly well. I think up until about this week, I have been chugging along. I'm feeling a little beat up right now, but I'm deloading this week, and then we'll start up next week. And next week, we're going to get to kind of some heavier triples and doubles. So I'm really looking forward to being able to go a little bit heavier and kind of be able to break out of the gate on that a little bit more. I will be competing at the beginning of the summer. So I'm about 17 weeks out now, 18 weeks out, I think. So I've still got tons of time, which is really exciting, I think, because it just means that I've got months to really prepare, really get everything dialed in, and really work on competing. I've set a few goals for myself. It's hard because I have never really trained these lifts or really tested these lifts. So I don't really know where my numbers are going to fall 6 weeks from now, let alone 5 months from now. But it is really exciting to kind of have that room for growth. I'm really excited to bring you guys along on this powerlifting journey. It's really exciting for me to get to bring you along through this meet prep from start to finish, especially because it's the first time I've ever done this. So I really look forward to sharing some of my training with you guys, checking in with you guys regularly, showing you what I'm doing, telling you how I'm feeling. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. I'm posting pretty much daily stories or posts in regards to my training. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Peace out, Cub Scout.